Now joining me to discuss the Masters is golf expert Bruce Young from Melbourne. How are you, Bruce?
Good evening, Ben.
Yeah, so we've heard from Tiger Woods there. He's pretty happy with how he went, and I'd say that's probably fair enough. He only had his first look at the course the day before and wasn't too far away from a few more birdies. How did you feel that he played?
Well, I think from tee to green, as he said, he played very well. He struck the ball as well as he believes he struck it all year in an opening round of a tournament. He struggled on the greens, there's no doubt about that. He struggled to get the pace of the greens right from very early on. But overall, I think he was very happy at the end of the day with a 2 under par round of 17. He's right very much in the mix. He experimented yesterday in the practice round or in the Pro-Am, used the driver a lot, but today he was more conservative, more strategic. And I think that's the approach that he'll adopt throughout the course of the week. I guess a lot depends on how the weather pans out over the next 3 days, but certainly I think we'll see that very strategic approach by him for the rest of the week.
What about the atmosphere around Tiger? The galleries, they probably weren't quite as big as they were last year. The crowds are a little bit down. What was the mood around Tiger like today?
Well, early on there wasn't a particularly big crowd because he started at about 7:30, but by mid-morning the crowd started to build, and even though, as you said, the crowds were down on the first day from last year, there was a really good atmosphere out there. I think he was enjoying it. He got a lot of support from the Melbourne crowd. He interacted with them very well. I thought overall there was a nice vibe and a nice buzz out there.
Yeah, well, that was one of the concerns for organisers, wasn't it, that Tiger would be treated well by the fans. They introduced that 2 strikes policy. Did they have to kick anyone out today?
Not that I'm aware of. Look, I was out there, I walked the back 9 with him inside the ropes also, and I never saw or felt anything untoward in that regard. So I think it was a very positive mood out there, and Tiger certainly enjoyed the atmosphere that was going on.
Yeah, he is very positive, isn't he? Everything that he said since today's round, and all week really, he's been very positive and thinks he can certainly win this. The bookies say that he can. He's been wound in a little further today after that opening round. Is he your pick for the tournament?
I think so still. I mean, he's still a work in progress, but clearly he's happy with the way his game is coming around. He talked very positively. He tends to talk fairly positively in the main about things, but I think he's got every reason to talk positively about his game. And if he can get the pace and start to pick up the pace on the greens and start to hold a few putts, then I think he's going to be very much in the thick of things. He's only, after all, 4 shots behind, and the 3 players that are actually leading, Adam Bland, Alistair Presnell and Daniel Gaunt, are relatively inexperienced in this situation. So he's not far out of it by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I don't know a hell of a lot about these 3 blokes that are leading. Can you tell us a little bit more, because I'm sure they're names that aren't too familiar to most of our viewers?
Well, look, Alistair Presnell, in fact, when you can put Alistair Presnell's last 2 rounds in Victoria together, he shot 60 in the final round of the Victorian PGA Championship in February, and he hasn't played in Victoria since in terms of tournament golf. So if you combine that with his round of 600 today, he's had a pretty good run in his last 2 rounds of tournament golf in Victoria. He's been a winner on the Nationwide Tour. He finished 6th at the World Golf Championship event in Doral earlier in the year. So he's quite credentialed in his own way. And when he won the Moona Classic, it was a very impressive win a couple of years ago. Adam Bland has played on the Nationwide Tour. He's been a winner in Canada. He won a Von Nider Tour event a couple of years ago. And Daniel Gaunt, actually, he's a bit of an unknown in many ways, but he's a Victorian who's been living in the UK for the last 7 or 8 years, played on the European Tour back in 2004, but he's actually regained his European Tour card this season via the Challenge Tour over there. So that in itself is one hell of an achievement, and I think as a previous and former member of the Victoria Golf Club, then maybe things might continue to roll for him over the weekend.
Yeah, you've had a little bit to do with Daniel Gaunt, haven't you? I think you wrote some articles about him, and about 12 months ago he was thinking about giving up the game, but now he's leading a tournament where Tiger Woods is playing.
It is an interesting story, Ben. He really reached a point towards the end of the last year where he was just battling away on the mini tour over there, which is the Euro Pro Tour, which is kind of the secondary tour. But he made a decision at the start of this year to change his attitude on the golf course, to be a lot more calm on the golf course. He read books by Deepak Chopra and a few others, just trying to get his mind game in the right, or his mind in the right frame. And it certainly seems to be working for him, because he really dominated the Euro Pro Tour at the start of this year, got an invitation to play on the Challenge Tour, won that tournament, and that really kick-started him onto the Challenge Tour. He then, as I said, he gained his European Tour card via the Challenge Tour. So it's been a hell of a year for him, a year of achievement, and I think he's just continuing that role this week.
And just quickly, Bruce, they're the lesser-known Aussies in this tournament in particular, but what about the big names like Jeff Ogilvy and Robert Allenby and Stuart Appleby? They were pretty up and down today. Can you see any of them challenging for the title?
Well, I wouldn't count any of them out yet. Allenby was very, very disappointing today. I felt early on that he was really the one player that Tiger had to watch, and he may yet be, but he really, like Tiger, he played with Tiger today, and watching them on the greens over their opening 9 holes, you would have thought that they weren't at the class of player that they are, because they really did struggle. In fact, it was very, very ordinary performance on the greens by Allenby, but if he can turn that around tomorrow, then at 8 shots behind the lead at 2 over par as he is now, he's certainly not out of it. A good round tomorrow, but the only problem for he and Tiger Woods is that they will have to play in the afternoon conditions tomorrow, and by all accounts the weather tomorrow afternoon, the winds are going to pick up. It's going to be a little bit more difficult tomorrow afternoon than it was this afternoon, that's for sure.
OK, Bruce, well, thanks for your time tonight. We'll talk to you through the tournament.
All right, cheers.